Welcome to the tutorial. In this video, we will be building a thrilling 3D skiing game using Java. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced programmer, by the end of this tutorial, you'll have a solid understanding of 3D graphics and game mechanics. Grab a comfy seat and let's dive in. Before we start coding, here are the tools you will need for this project. First, you should have Java Development Kit installed on your computer. Second, we will be using a game library called libgdx, which is great for creating 2D and 3D games. Lastly, an integrated development environment, IDE, like IntelliJ IDEA or Eclipse is recommended. Let's begin by setting up our libgdx environment. First, navigate to the libgdx setup tool on their website. You can generate a new project by filling out the project configuration details. This includes the name of your game, the package, and the desired modules. Once you have configured everything, you'll be provided with a zip file. Extract this zip file to your workspace directory. Now open the project in your chosen IDE. In our setup process, we will need the core module to contain the main game logic. Locate your core module in the project structure. Here, we will create our game class that extends from libgdx's application adapter. Next, we will override the create method to set up our game environment. We will initialize components like the camera, the game world, and input processors. Now let's implement our game world object. We will create a new class file named world that will handle our game environment, including the snowy terrain. To create a snowy landscape, we will utilize 3D models. You can either create your own models in Blender or download free models from websites like Sketchfab. For this simple example, we will load a pre-made terrain model into our game. Now we will modify our world's render function to draw the terrain. We need to set up a basic rendering process which will involve the model batch class provided by libgdx. Next, we need to integrate controls for the skier or snowboarder. Let's create a skier class and implement basic motion logic to control the character's movement. We will link keyboard inputs to this class. In the ski game class, we will create an instance of our skier class and call the move method in the render loop. This will ensure that the skier responds to user inputs every frame. You might have noticed the skier is currently stationary on the z-axis. Let's incorporate gravity and a jumping system. We will modify the skier class to include vertical movement. Now let's integrate the jump method with input detection, so the skier can jump when the spacebar is pressed. Next, we will add some textures and improve visual effects for our skier. Let's load a texture from our assets folder and apply it to our skier model. Also, don't forget to make sure your assets folder contains the required model and texture files before running the game. You can place your model file in the assets folder like this: assets/terrain.obj and assets/skier_textured.png. At this point, we have the essential mechanics of our skiing game, but let's also implement collision detection. We will create a function to check if the skier hits any objects in the world. To implement collision detection, we can use bounding boxes or spheres. For example, we can create a bounding box for our skier and check for overlaps with other objects. Now we can detect collisions with the terrain or any obstacles we add later. Next, we should consider adding scoring to our game. We can implement a simple score system based on the distance skied. To display the score, we will use the bitmap font class to render text on the screen. You can add a font file that you need to load in your assets, just like textures. Don't forget to create the font file. You can use various online tools to generate a.fnt file compatible with libgdx. Once done, place it in your assets folder alongside other assets. Finally, let's polish our game with sound effects and music. libgdx provides classes for sound and music, so we can enhance the gaming experience. You're doing fantastic. As we move toward the final steps, ensure you test the game thoroughly. Move around, jump, and interact to make sure everything works smoothly. Congratulations on creating your own 3D skiing game. Don't forget to experiment with adding more features, like different levels, more obstacles, or even multiplayer capabilities. The possibilities are endless. Thank you for following along with me today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more game development content. Leave a comment if you have questions or suggestions for future videos. Happy coding!